Hello there, my name is Esther, and I'm just doing a recording of my final project for Northeastern University's Game Engine Fundamentals class. And I just uploaded the final version of my game called Cellular Circuit. It's the version 4 as of right now. I'm first going to play the game silently, so if you want to form any opinions about the game, I'm just going to play the game silently. And then after that, I will play again and I'll talk about my process and things to note. I'll also go over my game design document, my struggles with the game, and then I'll show you a little bit behind the scenes with the code and what it looks like in Unity. So let's get into it. First, I'm just going to play in full screen silently from start to finish. Okay, so that is the end of the game. I'm going to now talk about a little bit about my expectations for the game and how I built it and some behind the scenes about that. So first, let's start the game again. I have an instructions screen here. Originally, it was a choice to have people click on it, but one of my classmates and friends, Connor, suggested that I just make it so that you have to read instructions, which is a great addition, I think. So, once you hit the start button, you're going to get this instruction screen. Basically tells you that you're going to want to destroy these pathogens. And, I guess I should explain the my game concept first. So this game is called Cellular Circuit, and this was created for a game jam, which we had about 3 to 4 weeks to work on this. And the game jam theme was called Cells. So my idea was to create a sort of racing game where you play it as a blood cell that goes through, somebody's body, and you try to kill the pathogens that exist there. The main aspect of the game is that there's a rock, paper, scissors like mechanic where the player can change to 3 different states, as you can see, A, B, C, and each enemy has a different state as well, A, B, and C. And so if you're in state A, you can get a speed boost from hitting enemies of the B type. If you're in B state, you can get a speed boost from hitting enemies in the C type. And if you're in state C, you can get a speed boost from hitting enemies in the A type. And so if you have an incorrect interaction, let's say you're in state A, you hit an enemy, you get a speed reduction. And so this is just a way to facilitate a more unique gameplay loop, maybe more variety in how you're going to play, and there are all supposed to be ways for you to gain speed and go quicker. So the main goal of the game is, like I said here, get to the end as quickly as possible. And I made this hint here because after I did some play testing, people wanted to collect all the pathogens, so I need to make it clear that you don't have to do that. Each state has a unique ability, as you probably saw. In state A, you can dash. In state B, you can split your cell into multiple little guys, and you can rotate your positioning. So like the rotate ability is what I call it. And then in state C is what I call the shield. You can basically negate any incorrect interaction, so you won't get any speed reduction if you hit an incorrect enemy. And that's the idea. You just control with WASD, WASD, and then to use any of the abilities, you just use spacebar, and each ability has a cooldown. So if I play here, we have a countdown where you can't do anything. And you probably noticed this restart game up here in the corner. You can do that anytime you want. I thought it'd be nice just in case you get stuck somehow. I have never experienced getting stuck in the course so far, so thankfully you don't really need it, but if you wanted to, you can do that. So I'm just going to go ahead here. You can see the current time is up here in the corner, and your current speed, which is a numerical value. I set it up in Unity. Earlier, it was set to actual text, so it would say like normal speed, slowest speed, fastest speed. But people didn't really like that feedback because it wasn't giving them an accurate representation of when they would gain or lose speed based on hitting enemies. So this first course is just a tutorial. I tried to leave some text here so people understand the abilities, and then they understand how you kill a pathogen. You hit this correct one here that I've highlighted with this halo, and you'll see that you can gain some speed. I made some arrows to make it a little bit more clear which direction you should go, because you can kind of go backwards with the S key. And the camera is quite zoomed a bit, so you don't necessarily always know where you're going, but I hope these arrows kind of help lead you to where you're supposed to go. Then I explained that wrong enemies, you lose speed, like I said, and this includes matching states and matching enemies. People were a little confused about that, even though I try to make it clear here, you will lose speed if you hit any of these in this particular state. This down here is the UI. It's meant to show you, you're in this state, and then you can hit this type, blah, 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 and it's supposed to show you the ability type in the lower right corner. I also made it so that you have these sort of invisible walls here. They're one way, so you can't go backwards. And I made those because people were wanting to collect all of the pathogens, like I said earlier. They wanted to go backwards like this, and so I made it so you can't do that. So just going along here. This is still just the tutorial area. So next it teaches you about the B ability, the B state. Press B to rotate. One issue I'm currently having, I still can't fix, is that the two clones of your character, I call them player clones, they're children of the parent, which is the player character here in the middle. They have collisions set up, as well as the walls. The walls have colliders, but for some reason it's not really working. So technically you don't even have to rotate, but the idea of the game is that you want to rotate to be able to get into these narrow spaces here. So, if you're going really fast, maybe it'll help you visually to see how you're going to line up. But as of right now, you technically don't have to. But I like to just to demonstrate the ability here. So, I'm going to keep going along here. And then this is supposed to show you state C. So, it's this little shield. And it says, press space to negate all speed loss. And I'm just trying to show you want to fly through this area, basically. Like, it doesn't matter which one you hit. You can see in the upper left corner. Doesn't matter where I hit, I'm not losing any speed. And then once you hit the finish line, you will see your total time. And obviously it was a bit faster earlier, but it will mark your time. So that's cool. And then you can, have a little break before you go to the next stage. And then it'll have a countdown and you can move again. In the next two courses, I actually have some secret hidden shortcuts. So, like I said earlier, the camera zoomed in a bit, and so it's a bit hard to see where you're going. And so I thought it'd be really cool if to offset this, maybe there are hidden shortcuts that the player could take. If they want to play again, and get a faster time, they can be like, oh, wow, I found this hidden area. And they're meant to be very helpful for them, gain a lot of speed, and I did demonstrate it here. For example, this is one of the shortcuts. I went through this last time, so I'm just going to go around and show you the long way. It's not that long, but yeah, it's a shortcut. This section here is a giant rotating platform, a rotating wall, and so the arrows are meant to show you're supposed to follow the path of the wall. There are two doors, these orange doors that you can't hit yet. There's another one down here where you're supposed to go. And so I had it so that you can't really, go backwards. And you're supposed to follow the arrows to go up this way. And then hit this door switch here that will make the doors disappear, basically. And so then you can go to the next area. And so that was just kind of a concept I had for some of the areas. I wanted there to be a door. And again, maybe that can incentivize people to play again and find a faster way to get to the end. Finally, we're in the third course here. And actually, there's 3 areas that I made. The last time I went to the northern area, so I'm going to go to left this time and show you what that looks like. This is just kind of a little maze around here, just like a little branching area, but we're going to go to left area. Each area has a different obstacle, so these ones have sliding walls, and all of them have the same door switch, so it doesn't matter which path you go down, but there will be a door switch at the end for you to be able to go down the fastest route, which is what I showed earlier, this route here. So now the door is open, and you want to take this because it'll make you go super fast, and you get to the end really quickly. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to go really fast just to show you the last section of that area on the map. Let's see how fast I can actually go. My record for this is actually, I did tweak the speeds a bit, so I haven't had I don't really have a record or anything like that right now since I tweaked the numbers, but I think under 30 seconds is probably somewhere around where I can, if I'm, really concentrating pretty hard on trying to get to the end without bumping into anything or whatnot, I can get pretty fast, but I haven't really tested my skill yet since I'm always doing playtesting for this, but yeah, I really wanted to have some other types of visual aspects besides this color change and the value up here. One of the playtesters from the Game Jam suggested I have a screen shake, and I wanted to do that, but the problem was that I couldn't really get that to work with this camera following the player. So like you can see the camera's following the player, which is great for what I have, but if I added a screen shake with an animation or anything else, it was kind of interfering with the camera, so I wasn't really sure how to implement that, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to settle for this little indicator on the side here. Alright, we're in the last section now, and I'm going to show you the right side. The middle one is like for the blue ability, the left one is for the red ability, and actually this right one is also for the red ability, but instead of sliding walls, you have rotating walls again. So there's a couple of rotating walls you can see here, there's one. It's kind of like a big open area. There's another one here, and the switch is up here, but I'm not going to hit that. I'm going to show you what happens when you don't find it. Someone who's going through this might not necessarily know that it's a switch at first. Hopefully that the second course introduces that concept, but not necessarily. And you see here there's a wall. So the player might be like, oh wait, there's a wall here, where can I go now? And they might want to play again to find where that is. And so then they have to go all the way around from either side, which takes more time, and then they get to the end. And that's that. So now I will show you a little bit about my documentation for this game. I had a checklist of all the things I wanted to add. You can see here, I'll just briefly scroll through. You can pause if you want to look at the specifics, but I had a lot of individualized steps I need to do, and I still had some bugs, like I said, with the blue ability, the B state. And I wanted to automate having the players, the enemies, I wanted them to be highlighted with that yellow circle automatically, depending on what state you were on, but instead I had to do that manually because I couldn't figure it out. This is all about the UI, and then after the playtesting, this is version 4, this is what I wanted to show, and I just talked about it before. I couldn't get the collision and the screen shake, I couldn't get those working. And yeah, these are just questions I had while working on it, and some tutorials as well. Here's the actual game design document. I'm just going to briefly scroll through it so I don't bore you with it, but you can just kind of take a look at the idea I had here, as well as my MVP, what I wanted to show, what I couldn't show, mechanics. Yeah, there's the MVP. And these are some sketches, actually, of what I wanted to do. These are just the initial concept ideas for the system. Originally, it was going to be so that you matched the enemy, because I thought maybe that'd be easier to visually see, but I thought maybe it'd be more interesting to have it always be rotating. And originally, you were going to be able to switch between the different states manually, and there was a time when you wouldn't be in any state, so you'd be neutral, which is why there's an end there. Here's just a demonstration of the abilities, and my sketches for the courses. These are just, I'm not very good at level design, so I just sketched out some ideas, and then some screenshots of the game in some earlier stages. Yeah. Now I will show you my code and what it looks like in Unity. So I'm just going to pull up my recorder, just make sure it's going. So this is what it looks like in Unity. You can see I didn't use scene management at all because I don't know how to do that. So instead I just made all the courses next to each other, which worked for me. And I organized everything into kind of like folders. I just made an empty object. I know there's an easier way to do this, but it worked for me. I know there's a lot of me using prefabs, like copying, pasting prefabs over and over again. So you can see in level 3 here, all of these, everything here is inside this empty object, kind of like a folder. And then, every time I made an arrow, or every time I made instructions, or those zones that change your state, all of the walls and all of the enemies, they're all sectioned like that for every single level. So, there's an easier way to do this, I'm sure, and I could have done tile mapping, which I did try to learn, but I just kind of ran out of time with that. So instead I've just made walls with colliders and just copy and pasted that over and over again. So that's kind of how that turned out, and you can kind of see again the way the course looks. So you just split here and just go straight. This one's got that loop I talked about, so you can see it's a giant rotating wall, and you go around and back out. It kind of looks like a little lock, actually. And here are the shortcuts. And then for the third map, this is it looks like a little spider web, I guess, and the 3 areas. So you have, this is the door switch for the middle area, the door switch on the left side, and this door switch on the right side here. This one has rotating. Actually, you can see it because when it plays, they move even when you can't move. So that's what they look like. And they're pathing. And the canvas is right on top of it, so that's there. But you can see that's what they look like when they're moving. Which is pretty cool, actually. I kind of like seeing them all move like that. It's kind of fun. Yeah. I could have planned this particular wall right here a little better because the timing is always wrong when you get to this switch. You're always going to hit this wall, which is kind of annoying, but, it's whatever. Adds to the difficulty, I suppose. Because you want to get to the end, right? You want to hit this nice strip of speed boosts here. So that's that. These are the zones. They don't have any scripts at all. They're just zones that you can trigger and you will turn into that state. And these are the enemies. They each have their own type using an enum. And I'll show you the player. The player has a lot of stuff going on it, but it also has an enum, basically. It decides which state it's in. And I'll show you a little bit of code. I'll show you the most important thing I learned, I suppose. Okay, so this is the game manager. Let's go to player controller. I learned how to use an enum, like I said. I'll show you at the top here. Here it is. So we got player state. There's state A, state B, C, C. And I made a variable for that enum. And then down here in the code, just ignore all this. We're going to get to, where is it? This player movement. We're going to get all the way down to, here it is. Trigger, yes, on trigger, enter. When you hit area A, you turn into player state A. If you hit, area B, you turn into B. If you hit area C, you turn into C. And if you hit an enemy, it basically checks, kill the enemy, and it'll check what state you're in, what state the enemy's in, and then if it's a correct interaction or an incorrect interaction. So basically, I have all these different iterations here, so A should hit B, B should hit C, C should hit A. And you'll get a speed boost or no speed boost depending. And if you have a shield activated, which is a bool I have set up, then, there's no reduction in speed, which is this method here. Yeah, so that's really cool to figure out. And, yeah, I don't have any specific code I really wanted to show. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to give you a glimpse behind the scene. I'll show you the player-child controller, because I still have that trouble. It does have a rigid body, like I said, and a collider. But I can't really get it to work, which is weird. So, that's that. This is the code for the finish line. If you cross the finish line, if the finish line touches the player, or the player touches the finish line, then, it'll say that the player can't move anymore. It'll teleport them to the next course. It'll reset their speed, record the time, right here, and then it'll show that course screen earlier where you can say, oh, okay, here's your time for that course, click that button, and then you can start the next one. And on the third one, it's just a game over screen. So, that's it for my game. It was a lot of fun to make. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to add, but couldn't because of the time frame, but I had a lot of fun making this, and if you give it a try, I hope you have fun too. So, that's that. Thank you very much for watching my video. Bye-bye.